If you guys were excited about the Lucha brothers heading to WWE, get on board, man. Everybody was excited for both Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix. Now, after recent reports and a recent happening within AEW, that will not be happening, and we only have one man to blame for why that is not happening, and his name is Tony McMahon. Tony Khan is now adding time on top of Rey Fenix's contract, and he will be with AEW for at least another year. Also, MJF lands himself a major movie role for a movie I can't wait for personally. And NXT is undergoing major changes next week for the debut on the CW network. All this, plus so much more right here on Off the Script. And we will start with Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. of the Lucha Brothers. Rey Fenix is unable to sign with WWE. Tony Khan adding injury time to his AEW contract. Listen, I came out here and said word for word, I can't see Tony Khan doing that because he hasn't done that with anybody in the past. And now here we are. Here we are. I was wrong. Fightful Select reported this summer that the contracts of Penta and Rey Fenix were set to expire this year, with WWE interested in bringing them aboard. Beyond this, Penta had told numerous sources back in June, and since then, he'd been in contact with WWE and stated that he and his brother were a package deal and that they wanted to go to WWE's main roster as opposed to NXT. Fightful's told that AEW became aware of this and saw evidence of at least one of the talent discussing their plans to move to WWE this summer. All right, there's nothing really that bad about it. They were in contact. We got mutuals, hitting up mutuals. What are you looking for? What are you interested in? How can we help you? How can we accommodate? There's no money being discussed. There's no contracts being signed. It's all, hey, are you interested? Yeah, I am. What do you got? That's all it was. AEW had offered the Lucha brothers a contract this summer, and we're hoping to retain the duo for years to come, says Fightful, and had immediate plans to put the trio's titles on them and Pac at AEW All In. That's not going to be enough to keep these guys there. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous when I did read it, and I laughed out loud. However, Penta and Fenix didn't sign those new deals, but sources that we spoke to in AEW claimed they had not discussed or communicated plans to leave. Now, Wrestling Observer's reporting that a few months ago, they had added on top of Penta's deal due to injury time by AEW, and Fenix had obviously injured, because every other fucking week he was injured. Fenix had substantially more time added when in comparison to Pentagon Jr. This matches up with what Fightful heard was likely to happen, as sources within WWE had been made aware of this at least last week, that Fenix wouldn't be imminently joining the company. Fenix missed over 6 months between October 2023 and June 2024, well over 3 months from January 2022 to April 2022, and 3 months in 2021 as well. Man, they are going back to 2021, man. Oh my goodness. How petty can we be? When time was added to Penta's deal, Fightful's told that was around the time he publicly tweeted that his present was AEW, as he was hoping that the situation didn't result in Fenix being held to the injury time on his deal, as there's much more time that could be added, obviously, with what I just mentioned. We've not yet heard if AEW plans on having them work in the future or if they will be put on ice, but it was confirmed to us at Fightful if they're under contract, they're still being paid. We didn't get a straight answer as to the motivation of extending the deals. I'll tell you what the motivation is in a minute. Outside of AEW wanting to get the contracted amount of time out of the duo that they were signed for per the terms of the contract, it is expected by the talent that they'll be X to put talent over at least if they're planning on leaving. When discussing contract tampering, there's no oversight or league that could do much about contract tampering, so to speak, and is not a law in sports as opposed to a rule in leagues, says Fightful. However, interference with contract that causes a breach is largely what is actually discussed when bringing up contract tampering in wrestling. This is why if you ever listen to a Bruce Pritchard podcast, says Sapp, he'll reference asking about talent's contract status when they would inquire about work with WWE in the past. For those wondering, adding injury time has been common within AEW, WWE, and even in TNA. Contrary to reports, Penta and Fenix are not signed by WWE in any capacity, and WWE has never acknowledged any reports or rumors about them in a official capacity. Before I give you guys my explanation and my thoughts and opinions on this, I hated when WWE did this. WWE did a lot more egregious than adding injury time on top of contracts. WWE added injury times on top of contracts. WWE froze contracts. WWE didn't let people out of contracts when clearly there was zero direction for them on their television and hadn't been used in months. Nah, we're not going to let you go, man. And then we're going to tack on 90 days if we do release you. And sometimes WWE would tell these talents no and then end up releasing them anyway so that they get the 90 days just as their contract is expiring. That's what they did to Luke Harper, Brody Lee. I have said it more than once, and I want you guys to sit with this a little bit more after this specific situation. AEW has coined themselves the alternative. They are the alternative to WWE. That's what they coined themselves as. This is where the best wrestle. The alternative to WWE. Tony Khan is slowly becoming Vince McMahon in every aspect, minus the sexual allegations, the rape, and the sex trafficking charges. He's basically AEW's version of Vince McMahon. His creative has been fucking largely terrible all year, dating back to last year. Decrease in attendance, in interest, in ratings, in merch sales, in every aspect across the board, AEW is trending down. I mean, the most obvious example is the latest example where they, and I've seen pictures because I had people who listened to me send me pictures about how Arthur Ashe Stadium looked, being that half of the fucking building was tarped off. I went to the U.S. Open and I watched the men quarterfinals for the U.S. Open. I got invited to go. I said, why the fuck not? I've never been to a tennis matchup before. Let's see what it's all about. I enjoyed myself. Inside the same building that AEW held Grand Slam on Wednesday. They were jam-packed for fucking tennis. I never heard of these fucking people before in my entire life. Jam-packed. I'm like, oh, wow, this is what AEW used to look like. They had half the fucking building tarped off. 8,000 they did for Wednesday's show. The year before that, they did 11. The year before that one, they did 13. The first ever Grand Slam, they sold the building out, 21,000 people. Their rating on Wednesday was 701,000 people. That's the new norm now, people. Everybody's using excuses. Oh, well, there was a WNBA game on, JD. You mean the WNBA game that obviously had no impact on the AEW rating because their rating actually went up? You mean the WNBA game that aired on the same night in the same time slot as AEW Dynamite Grand Slam where they drew their normal fucking number? You mean that rating? Sure thing. Stop using fucking excuses. Nobody that watches AEW is watching fucking WNBA. Nobody that's watching AEW gives a fuck about Caitlin Clark. Give me a fucking break. Tony is so worried about adding contract time onto Rey Fenix contract dating back to 2021 instead of worrying about everything else that needs to be put ahead of Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. The man is slowly losing his mind. The man is slowly becoming Vince McMahon. This is a Vince McMahon maneuver. They have no use for Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix. What are you going to do with them that you didn't do with them before? Why are you keeping them on your roster when you clearly have zero creative desire and zero creative direction to use them in a meaningful way? These guys busted their fucking balls for 5 years to start your company and put themselves in a position to make your tag team division the best in the entire fucking world. Injury after injury, match of the year after match of the year, spectacular move after spectacular move. They did it all and laid the foundation for what you see AEW is today. No, let's fuck them over and add 3 years worth of injuries on top of Rey Fenix's contract so that he doesn't go to the competition. But I thought Tony was the alternative. I thought Tony was the leader of this AEW brand that was not WWE. Man, you're starting to look like WWE run by Vince every single fucking month that goes by. Creative sucks, ratings are down, interest is down, Tony's doing this and that with talent, signing every fucking talent under the sun, pushing the talent down the roster furthermore. What are we doing? What are we doing over there? You don't have any desire to use them. You didn't use them when they didn't have any fucking interest in going to WWE. So what's the difference now? If you don't want to use them in a meaningful way, let them go. Miro asked for his release. Let him go. Anybody else that doesn't want to work there or help your brand grow, let them go. I don't understand it. What do you exactly think would happen if you put Rey Fenix and Pentagon on your television show? Are they going to boost the ratings from where they are now? Is that lost interest all of a sudden going to take an increase next week if you put them on TV? What exactly are you going to do with them? The same thing that you did with them this year, last year, the year before that. They have settled into, they're just another couple of guys on the AEW roster. It's exactly what they are. How could Penta and Rey Fenix be special if Tony Khan is putting all of his cards on the table in hologram? Look at what he's done with hologram. That's his new Rey Fenix. That's his new Penta. Beast Mortos. Look at what he's doing with Mortos. Look at how he's using Mortos. That's his new Penta. How are you going to sell me on Rey Fenix when you got fucking CMLL guys coming on in here every fucking month? You're shoving Commander and Vikingo and Mortos and Hologram and fucking Fuego del Sol, or whoever the fuck else is remaining there. How are you going to sell me on these guys? How are you going to sell me on Penta and Rey Fenix when you got all these other guys that you're putting so much more stock in? Does Rey Fenix seem special to you anymore? When you got Hologram out there fucking doing fancy flips and dives? No, he's not special anymore. How special could Penta and Fenix be when you're ready to bring back Vikingo to television? They're not special to me. How special could Rey Fenix be when you just signed Ricochet? I mean, Ricochet does it all. The fuck am I going to see out of Rey Fenix when I could watch Ricochet do it better? I don't understand the logic in this company. I really don't. And then you got the elitists, you got the tribalists, you got the fucking tribalism on social media. Due to this one specific story, people are arguing with me, oh, it's part of the contract. Tony's just doing what's part of the contract. He's got every right to do it. I never seen so many people stick up for billionaires that don't give a single fuck about you. They don't care about you. I don't understand the glazing for fucking Tony Khan. Why? Did he rub one out for you after Dynamite one night? I don't get it. I don't understand why there's so much tribalism. You got those people, and then you got the people, Penta and Fenix are overrated. The fuck are you talking about? Rey Fenix and Penta are probably one of the greatest tag teams of the modern era, and Rey Fenix is one of the greatest luchadors ever. Yeah, they're overrated, man. Let them go. These guys built the foundation for what you are watching today on TNT and TBS. But now they're overrated because they want to go work for WWE. I don't know. I don't understand this. I really don't. Let them go. They serve no value or purpose to AEW anymore. Then the report says they want Rey Fenix and Penta to put over other talent. Who? How is anybody going to benefit from Penta and Rey Fenix when they've been off television and their stock is as low as anybody? What good does it matter? Well, why don't you do that with Ricky Starks? Why don't you do that with Miro? Tony's paying both of them, right? Tony's money goes a long way if he says, I need you back on TV. Aren't they supposed to do what he says and what he asks? I don't understand this situation. I really don't get it. How could you be so fucking petty? People are claiming that Tony Khan has every right to do this. Sure. But the hypocrite in Tony Khan is really showing. He's not the alternative anymore, and he knows it. His roster is vast and quite large. If he loses Penta and Rey Fenix, it will be no sweat off Tony Khan's back. The report also said that Fightful reached out and asked why they did what they did here. Why they added more time on top of both Penta and Rey Fenix contracts. Do you want to know why they added more time on top of their contracts? Because they don't want them to go to WWE. Plain and simple. I don't need to ask AEW or someone within AEW why they did what they did. They did what they did because Tony knows where they are going. And if Tony and this decision, if Tony has any give or any leeway to ruin WWE's plans, whether it be creative, whether it be merchandise already made so that they can't make money off of it, just overall excitement and momentum that shifts to WWE and more so away from AEW, Tony will take it. This is the guy that said, WWE's not competition. He flip-flopped on that discussion back and forth how many fucking times. This is the same guy that said Vince McMahon is one of his idols and one of his inspirations. Yeah, no shit. Look at how he's operating. This is a clear Vince move. I wonder where he got this one from. A lot of people are like, Tony can do this, Tony can do that, blah, blah, blah. WWE did the same thing in the past, and I vilified them for it. The latest example is Bobby Lashley, who is coming on into AEW. Do you want to know why WWE didn't add contract time onto Bobby Lashley? Bobby Lashley was quoted saying that he was injured and out of competition for 6 months. And the reason why he didn't reappear and reemerge on WWE TV was because he was waiting clearance from WWE. He wasn't actually cleared yet. And then when he did get cleared, he spoke with management and his contract was coming up and they let him go. WWE, for the 6 months that Bobby Lashley was out injured, they could have turned around and said, you know what, Bobby, wait a minute, man. Before you walk out the door, man, there's something we got to do for you, man. We're going to tack on that 6 months on top of your contract. You're actually not going anywhere until January 2025. WWE could have easily did that Why didn't they do that? Because they realized that they had no use for Bobby Lashley. They had no use for MVP. They did not want them on the roster anymore. And instead of paying them and not using them in a meaningful way, both sides decided to part ways. That's why they didn't do it. But Tony Khan can't give two guys that broke their fucking backs for him over 5 years the respect to say, you know what, guys, thank you for what you've done. Obviously, the company's moving in a different direction. You guys don't fit into the current ecosystem anymore. I thank you for all that you've done. The door is always welcome for both of you to come back and maybe potentially work with us in the future. Good luck in doing what you do and go make yourselves into superstars. Was that so difficult to say? No, but Tony Khan opted to take the Vince McMahon playbook and use it to his advantage here because he is so rattled by WWE that he has no other way to get back at them and try and just get a nice sucker punch in on them. So he's using Rey Fenix and Penta as leverage and harming the talent for his own pettiness. This gets Tony Khan off. And he's taking it out on Rey Fenix and Penta. There's no answer on motivation. There is. The answer is very simple. The motivation is taking it out on both guys who broke their fucking bodies for 5 years because they know where they are headed. They're headed to the competition. So if Tony can ruffle the competition, it could be creative. It could be in any way possible. He's opted to take the low road. When Tony wants to be a boss, he makes boneheaded, stupid fucking decisions like this one. When he doesn't want to be a boss, he'd rather be everybody's friend. See how fucked up the ecosystem is in AEW? This was a problem in WWE. I hated it when they did it then, and I mentioned Bobby Lashley. The same thing applies to the Lucha Brothers in AEW. The company's too fucking busy signing everyone under the sun, pushing talent further down the ladder, and they are worried about these guys going to WWE and want them to put over talent on their way out. Give me a fucking break. AEW takes a massive, Tony Khan takes a massive fucking L for this one. Absolutely disgusting, absolutely deplorable how he's treated both Rey Fenix and Penta. NXT, the brand that they are not going to when they are allowed to go to WWE. NXT will travel to the Allstate Arena in Chicago on Tuesday, October 1st. I will be here on this channel covering it right after the show is over. There will not be a Tuesday Night Titans with the Silent Monster next week. CM Punk will appear. And there's a stack card to go along with it. Like SmackDown, when they moved from Fox to USA, NXT will undergo some changes. During the latest episode of WrestleVotes Radio, this is on their Patreon, by the way. I urge you guys to go support them. It was noted that WWE will change the logo and the presentation of NXT. Joey Votes says this, and I quote, "The yellow aspect of NXT certainly looks to be changing. This is the internal speculation. It is more than possible that when they debut Tuesday night on the CW, the logo will remain the same, but the presentation and the feel of it may be a little different. Can you speak on that at all?" WrestleVotes says, yeah, going back to the opening of the show, we discussed how the presentation will be evolving, and I think NXT is in line for that next change video package that we got on Tuesday night, kind of recapping the time in NXT that was spent on the USA Network as it moves over to the CW. I think it's putting a bow on that era and time. We've been seeing NXT go from black and gold to 2.0 to this new black and gold yet again. And I think now the next era on CW will be a whole different look. I think there will be a slightly different NXT logo, and I think you will see the removal of yellow from that moving forward and a more straightforward sort of presentation. Joey Votes then ends saying, everything that we've heard internally reminds me of the Las Vegas Raiders, black, silver, white, clean, metallic, almost. So we'll see if that's where they go. Listen, I don't give a shit what they change. What they need to change, as far as I'm concerned, as a viewer of the show, how many times I have people telling me, oh, well, JD, you got to go watch NXT, man. You missed a banger episode. I turn on the episode and I'm questioning all these people that reached into my mentions and on my DM. It's a banger episode. And I'm asking, where's the bang? There's no bang. The show largely sucks every single week. There are aspects of the show that I like. There are talent on the show that I very much do like. But the way the show comes off, the way the show is presented, the way the show is written, the way the performers on said show act, the commentary team, I can't stand none of it. I even hate the fucking crowd. I can't stand that fucking WWE Performance Center crowd. They are no way the same fucking people that were in Full Sail, man. The Full Sail crowd were adult. This crowd is, I mean, you could take a steaming fucking wet dump in the ring and they chant, holy shit, legitimately. Or fight forever. Or some stupid fucking Florida chant down at the performance. I don't know. Not the same crowd. There is so much about the show I don't like. If they need to make any changes, I don't give a fuck about a logo or a presentation or color scheme, theme music. I don't care. It's about what you put on the show, on the television show, how it's produced. That's what matters. It needs to be more adult. It needs to be better written. I mean, it's almost written. NXT Black and Gold was written for someone who is someone wanting an adult-like program. The language, the way people spoke, the way that it came off, how cool it was, the music that they looked, the lighting, everything. Everything. Just the whole ambiance, the whole aura of Black and Gold. And nothing today touches it. Nothing. This new NXT, this 2.0 that we had to sit through, it's like written for fucking 8-year-olds. If there's a demographic, what is it? Ages 8+, 9+? I mean, Black and Gold was not what we are getting. This is nothing like the Black and Gold at all. If something needs to change, it's that. That part of the show needs to change. I don't give a shit about all this other shit, but I'll tell you what. I'm going to give it another go. I'm going to start covering NXT again, and I want to see how long it lasts. Now, you could see where they're potentially making changes. They're bringing in Stephanie Vaquer. They're bringing in Julia. They got the Motor City Machine Guns coming in. I don't know what their mentality is. Is some of that mentality going back to what they did for Black and Gold, bringing in some of the biggest names on the indies and putting them on NXT and building the show around them, prepping them for the main roster, while also at the same time building some talent and molding talent coming out of the Performance Center? That's the way it was. Then they moved away from that. They started the NIL program, which was an absolute fucking bust. It was never going to give them the return on the investment that they were looking for. It could take years to find the next big thing in WWE. Some people, it might not be that hard. You might get 2-3 years, like Tiffany Stratton. Look at what happened to her. She came out of the NIL program. Look at what happened with her. She's a fucking made superstar. She's going to be the women's champion before the end of the year. And then there are others that don't get it, like Gable Steveson, who loses his job. I wish that part of the program would change. That's what needs to change. Everything else, I don't really give a shit about. If they do a little bit of what they used to do in Black and Gold, I think we'll be on the right track. MJF, maybe the best in the world next to Will Ospreay, joins the cast of Adam Sandler's Happy Gilmore #2. MJF landed another Hollywood role, this time in a major comedy movie, Happy Gilmore 2. Top AEW stars joined the cast of the movie, which stars Adam Sandler. Deadline reported the news today, Friday. There is no word yet on the sequel's plot. I don't really give a shit. As long as they bring back most of the stars from the first one, I'm there. PW Insider reports that MJF is playing Gordy, one of Sandler's sons in the film. The report added that Gilmore's sons are all strong kids, tough, crazy bastards with New England accents who have inherited their father's love for hockey. They all live out on their own and work blue-collar jobs. In the movie, Julie Bowen and Christopher McDonald will reprise their roles as Virginia Bennett, or Vennett, what is it, Bennett or Vennett? I don't know. Virginia and Shooter McGavin. Oh, my goodness, man. Shooter McGavin coming back, bro. I love it. Bad Bunny also has joined the cast. Sandler teased that Kansas City Chiefs player Travis Kelce is on board for a cameo in the film as well. Dennis Dugan, the director of the original film, is going to be back. And Judith Mall, Kevin Grady, David Bosch, and Barry Bernardi are the executive producers of this movie. MJF previously had a role in A24's The Iron Claw movie. I watched it. I loved the movie. I just didn't see MJF anywhere in there, or maybe I did and I missed it. It was so brief. Where he played Lance Von Erich. and just wrapped up the independent comedy The Floaters, starring Seth Green and Aya Cash. MJF will also be in Stronghold from Clark Duke alongside Ron Perlman, Jake Lacey, Ashley Benson, and Justin Long. MJF took time off following AEW All Out after being attacked by Daniel Garcia. Tony Khan's paying MJF an exorbitant amount of money to be one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet and the face of that company. And he's also now dipping his toes into Hollywood, man. Good for him. Good for him. I know AEW needs him more than he needs AEW, and he's clearly showing that, and the ratings show it when he's on, and the stories and the programs show it when he's on. But this is what was going to happen. I've said it from day one, man. A fucking natural, an absolute natural. You want the next household name in the world to professional wrestling? There's no one on the AEW roster that's going to be a household name while working for AEW. MJF is the only guy, in my honest opinion, that's going to break the mold of pro wrestling into the mainstream that doesn't work for WWE. And when he eventually goes to WWE, everything you're seeing now, he's going to be a fucking Hall of Famer, WrestleMania main event for years to come. He's that guy. And if this doesn't show you he's that guy, I don't know what does. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you enjoyed today's video, please leave a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the bell for notifications. Let me know what you think of the Lucha Brothers situation right now within AEW. Did Tony Khan do the right thing, or are you upset that he went and took the low road here? Or if you don't got anything to add, just leave me your favorite emoji down below, because it helps out my engagement and helps out the analytics. So the more comments that we get, the bigger the video does in the algorithm. So whatever you may want to do, man, leave something down below. It could be anything. So leave me your thoughts down below. And also, go and check out all the other videos on the channel. There is plenty of content this week on Off the Script as we continue to round out the month of September. Any more news, guys, you'll hear it first right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.